I got a story about my first time smoking weed. Wasn't really the best experience, but it happened. So, I was with my friends. They convinced me to ditch school. First time, too, ditching school. I was like, oh yeah, I'll be a cool kid. Yeah, ditch school. And then they went and bought some weed. I was with them. We were like, yeah, let's smoke. And I'm like, I never smoked. So I was like, okay, how do we do this? Well, first you need to go in this person's backyard and steal their apples. So I was like, wait, apples? And they're like, yeah, apples. So I ran in the backyard. Turns out there's people back there. Didn't turn out too well. Took a few apples, ran back. They're like, we need more. And I'm like, I can't get more. I'm like, oh, shoot. Why? Because there's people back there. And I was like, oh, fuck. Okay, well, there's people back there. So, shoot. So I went back, stole some more, then came back. And I never stole one before. And so we went to the gas station. Turned out we needed a lighter too. They weren't prepared at all. So we went there. They stole a lighter. I was like, oh, okay, lighter. There we go. And then we went to this bird refuge. We were like, yeah, let's smoke some weed. And we went there. We fucking sat there, grabbed an apple. They started poking holes in that shit like it was some piñata or something. I was like, oh, okay, that's how you do it. So my first bowl, I grabbed it. I was like, and I didn't know you're supposed to put your finger on the other hole on the side. So I sucked the whole weed into my lungs. I was just like, whole bowl. And I'm like coughing, and I handed it over the apple because I didn't fucking like it. And then she was like, yo, where's all the weed? I'm like, I don't know. And she was like, oh, you sucked it all up. You're supposed to hold the side hole. And I'm like, oh, okay. So after that, I got it down, holding the apple, smoking. I'm like, ooh, this is good. This is good. I like this. This is good. This is good. So then we got in the car, started driving our way back. I was like, oh boy, man, fuck. I'm looking at the time. Time's going by slow. I blink my eyes. The object's in the same spot as when I blink. Close my eyes, opened them. Like, I swear, 20 minutes later. Object was still in the same spot as we were driving. Then I realized we're not driving. And I'm like, oh, okay. So then we started driving, and I knew we were driving that time because I opened the door and it was really windy. And so we were driving. They freaked out on me. So then we were driving, doing the same thing. Objects weren't moving. Then finally, all of a sudden they were there right next to me driving past. I'm like, whoa. Now that was trippy. So then they dropped us off at this gas station. We stopped there. We were like, okay, yeah, we're here now. And so I had to attempt to walk across the street to the school. We got to the school. There's this outside bathroom there. We smoked in the bathroom too. She pulled out her earrings in her backpack, started poking holes in this can. And I'm like, whoa, whoa. And so she's poking holes like making a bunch of noise, and I'm like tripping out, paranoid, like, oh, who's there? Oh, who's there? She's like, no one's there, man. Everyone's in school. I'm like, oh, okay. And so I'm freaking out, tripping balls, wondering who's there. I step back, hit the fan that's in there, and it's like, and I jump. I've never jumped that high, I'm pretty sure. I don't know, I was high. So I jumped, and I was like, whoa, oh, whew. Then we smoked some more. We were like, she's like, keep it red. I'm like, I could barely hold the can. I'm like fumbling it, like, oh, and trying to find my mouth. I found my mouth finally, and I was like, and she's like, it's not even lit anymore. I'm like, oh, okay. So I lit it again, and I was like, couldn't even hold the lighter, get it started. And I'm like, ooh, and kept doing it, keeping it lit, and then finally I started walking out. Couldn't feel my legs at all. Like, I'm walking like a retard. Like, have you ever had those moments you're walking and you're like, whoa, people are looking at me. Why? And so I was walking home, walking like a freaking retard. I get back home. Apparently school's been out for a while. Didn't even know. Got home and thought it's been like 6 days too as well. Got home, my mom was looking at me like, you high? You look high. You smell high. Like, you are high. And all I heard was high. Like, all the time I was like, you're high, you're high, you're high. She's yelling. Whole neighbors are coming out, looking out. Yo, what white trash is smoking weed this time? I'm living in the white neighborhood, like the whitest neighborhood. So everyone's looking around, opening their windows, hearing this shit echo through the whole neighborhood. Maybe it was just echoing because I was high, but it was echoing through the whole neighborhood. Like, you could hear it 10 miles away, I swear. And so then my friend's mom was there, and she was yelling at me too, like, where's my daughter? Because it's been a while since school got out, apparently. And so she's freaking out, wondering where her daughter is. I'm like, she's walking back to school. She's waiting for you there. And she's like, oh, okay. So she left. My mom's freaking out. She's like, get in the car. We're going to counseling. I'm like, wait, counseling? And yeah, counseling. So counseling was that day. So we got in the car. My mom's freaking crying. Like, I feel bad. I'm like almost wanting to cry, but I was like, no, man up. I smoked weed my first time. I'm cool. And so then, you have no clue. We got there. I'm like, couldn't even focus. I'm just looking around, enjoying it, jamming out to the tunes in my head. Like, I'm nodding my head. Yeah, there wasn't any music. So I just looked like a fucking retard. But I was doing it. I was like, yeah, boy. And then my counselor, all of a sudden, he's like, I don't want you to commit suicide. I'm like, wait, I said I was going to commit suicide. I'm like, I don't want to commit suicide. Why did I say I want to commit suicide? And he's like, you didn't. I'm just saying when people get caught and sometimes they want to commit suicide because their parents don't trust them or anything. I'm like, my mom doesn't trust me? He's like, no, she caught you smoking weed. You lied. You didn't even go to school. I'm like, oh yeah, I remember now. Then I forgot. But I was sitting there chilling, just looking around. He's like, focus, focus. I'm like, okay. I keep hearing suicide. I'm like, I ain't gonna commit suicide. I ain't gonna die. I don't wanna die. I'm good. I'm high. So, and I told him that. I'm good, I'm high. I don't wanna die. And he's like, well, you're not gonna. And I'm like, good, because I don't want it. And he's like, okay. So that lasted like 6 hours, probably. Something around there. And so I was tripping. We got home. I'm like going off it a little bit. I'm like, my dad got home. Ooh, he couldn't stop laughing at that. Like, he was laughing his head off, nonstop. And I'm like, oh man, oh man, oh man, oh man. Like, freaking out because he's there. He's sitting there watching me go, oh man, oh man, oh no, Dad's home. Dad's gonna be home. He's like, I'm right here. I'm like, oh shit. I'm freaking out. I'm like, oh, he's home. He's home. He's home. Thinking. At least I thought I was thinking, but I was actually saying it out loud. Not good. So then we got there. My dad's questioned me like, why'd you smoke weed? And like, who'd you do it with? I spilled the beans. I said every single word ever. Like, I told them everything about it. And they were like, wow, thanks for being honest. You've been doing all kinds of stupid stuff. I'm like, I know. I'm not going to class. I'm out. I'm out and about. Yeah, I know. And then I had to call her mom, apologize for making her daughter ditch when I didn't. She convinced me, but she was pissed. Then she wanted to put weapons in my backpack, and then call the cop. But that doesn't matter now, because my mom made me switch schools. But there's my story. Make sure to like and subscribe.